welcome back to Nerd is the New Cool. We have a nerd take for you, a times 2 nerd take. This is kind of an audible. We were originally just going to do the Elijah Craig barrel proof, which we got right here. We added the Larceny barrel proof because they are both the B523 versions. So, yeah, should be good.
Thanks for joining us. This is another Lambert, by the way. This is Andrew.
Hi, everybody.
He's also a bourbon guy, so he's going to be able to give us some pretty cool, perspective on these two batches. And also, we just opened these up, so we have not had them. Right. This is the first time for both. I admittedly, and many times I've said this, I like the hot stuff. I like the high proof, and I really love Elijah Craig barrel proof. And I might be one of the biggest advocates for all the Larceny barrel proofs. When all the people online are talking the shit about Larceny and how
they're figuring some stuff out.
Yep. I'm a fan.
Yep, I am a fan as well. So let's talk about these a little bit. So this is the summary, and this is straight from the website. So forgive me. For the Elijah Craig, it's uncut, straight from the barrel, without chill filtering. The nose, taste, and finish created by 12 years of aging are preserved in their simplest form, a full barrel proof. You can enjoy Elijah Craig much the same way our masters distillers do when they sample straight from the barrel in our Kentucky rickhouses. Elijah Craig barrel proof is a bold and honest expression of what charred oak aging can do for bourbon from the man who originated the process. Good speak.
All right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a sniff, give it a taste, and then talk about...
I got more on Larceny.
We'll get to that in a minute, but you want to do that first?
Yeah,
I'll talk Larceny.
I'll go through Larceny. Larceny Barrel Proof offers a new opportunity to experience our acclaimed weeded bourbon mash bill in its purest form, non-chill filtered and bottled at full barrel proof, released 3 times a year, January, May, and September. Each offering is a bold yet balanced special small batch bourbon, rich with depth and distinction, much like Larceny Small Batch and Old Fitzgerald Bottled & Bond. Larceny Barrel Proof is a welcome reminder of just how good wheated bourbons can be.
Okay. So this might be a test of if you like traditional bourbons or if you like wheated bourbons.
Right. Yep.
Are you a fan of either, Andrew?
I actually lean more towards rye.
Okay.
So we'll see.
So you'll probably like the Elijah Craig because that one has rye in
Spicier.
it. And the Larceny doesn't. But we can talk about the mash bill later.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's. What we're going to do is we are going to essentially discuss what we think are the notes on the nose, and then the notes on the taste, and then also the finish. And then after that, we'll give it a rating.
Well, and after that, we'll go through some of the stats and figure out what the actual website said on each of these and see how close we got.
Compare the notes to the act to our.
Well, stings the nostrils.
Stings the nostrils, but I got some sweetness on it too, though.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you what I think it is, and it's just straight cherries.
I got cinnamon.
Cinnamon too?
Yeah.
You only got some brown sugar.
Yeah, on the initial taste, it's not very spicy. It's got a nice warmth to it. Get that rice spice that you mentioned.
The heat kind of builds.
Yeah. I don't know. These are like the same things I say all the time, but like the sugary, the butterscotch maybe. And then the finish is it's taking a bit.
Yeah.
It's a long.
But like in a good way. Like it
good
started
way.
really mellow, and now it's like, oh,
yeah,
there it is.
And it's not just hot for the whole finish. Like there's flavor.
I don't think it's really hot at all. I think that it's all of a sudden you get this really like depth of warmth.
Get a little bit. I just took a second sip. Get a little bit of earthiness to it, just on the initial palate. But yeah, it's not hot. It's just it's that Kentucky hug.
Yeah,
that's what it's called. Yeah, we should have brought water.
I got a little bit.
Rookie mistake.
We can dumb it down a little bit so you can get some more flavor out of it if you want to get in on that. All right, tell us what we're supposed to be getting from the nose.
So for the Elijah Craig, we've got, the color is deep amber, whatever.
Okay.
Nose, caramel with toasted oak. Fruit notes of apple and orange. Did you get any orange?
Oh.
You like the orange.
I always get the orange. The one time I don't say orange, there's no fucking orange. There's orange.
Palette of rich vanilla, caramel, and butterscotch, along with spices, black pepper, and cinnamon.
I got
There
the
you go.
butterscotch.
I got the cinnamon.
Yep. And
Nice.
then the finish nicely layered, showcasing all flavors, fading slowly, then lingers as it cools, which I think is a pretty
That
accurate.
sounds about right.
It's an accurate
Yeah.
description.
Yeah, with a little bit of water too, it really does. It opens it up. It doesn't change at all, dilute at all like the warmth,
No.
but you do get a little bit more sweetness to it.
Can you pick out some of the flavors a little bit more?
Yes,
All right.
definitely. I'm getting the cinnamon now that I wasn't necessarily getting at first.
I'm gonna do that.
I did smile for the camera.
So this batch is interesting. So it's the B523 batch. We've talked about it before, but to remind everybody, B is because it's the second batch of the year. 5 is because it came out in May, and 23 it's because it came out in 23. This Elijah Craig batch is interesting because it's the first time the age is actually stated. It's 11 years and 5 months. The age statement typically has been on the side, and it's always just said 12 years. So now they're actually getting specific with the age statement on this. So this is the first Elijah Craig barrel proof that is not 12 years old. It's just shy, but that's an interesting thing, and you'll see it's actually on the age statement's on the front label instead of on the side now.
Okay.
So it's an interesting little tidbit. So the mash bill on that one is 78% corn, 12% malted barley, and 10% rye. And it goes for $70. And if you can find it for $70, you should probably pick it up.
Yeah, I do like that flavor a lot. I as I mentioned before, I love the Elijah Craig barrel proofs. That's like one of my go-tos.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
That and the private barrels too.
Yeah, those are usually a little hotter.
A little hotter because they're a little younger usually.
Okay, well, on to the Larceny.
All right.
So I guess yeah, give it a whiff
Give it a
and
smell.
what are you getting?
I'm having a hard time getting anything.
I think grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Ooh, there's something. Okay.
Say once you really get in there, it's
Yeah. Once you get in there, you're getting a little too close.
I mean, I'm getting a lot of ethanol from it.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe some citrus. Maybe.
I think now that you said that, I maybe some like lemon or lime. I don't know.
Mhm.
Well, that's good. That's definitely like spicier immediately, and then also on the back.
It's spicier on the front of my tongue than the Elijah Craig.
The Elijah Craig was very smooth, and not that this doesn't taste great, but it gets you like right away. You're like, oh, that's got some bite to it.
Yeah.
And I think Larceny's, it's been my experience, it's maybe the opposite of that. It's like those usually hit you in the face pretty quick, and these are a little bit more like subdued.
Because the wheat makes it just a little bit softer because you don't have that rye spice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's very spicy. I'm almost getting like a lot of pepper to it. I'm not getting a lot of sweetness to this.
No, it's a lot drier.
That's got a lot of caramelized stuff to it. This is like you said, it's more earthy.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a lot drier.
Yep.
There's a lot more like astringency to it than the Craig.
It's sticking around though.
It is sticking around.
Pass that water down.
It doesn't.
Oh,
it,
yeah.
But it doesn't stick around as long as the Craig did. It finishes faster.
Nope. And that probably makes sense because you're talking about something that is typically 6 to 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Mash bill on this one is 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malted barley.
Oh, you add that water to it though, it really does liven it up a little bit. It's now I'm getting the caramel, the brown sugar, the chocolate, the cocoa. There's a little bit more to it. It's definitely sweeter now with it diluted slightly.
Yep.
Did you get that at all, Andrew?
Yeah, it definitely opened up a lot.
All right, well, see if we got anything right.
Oh, yeah, that water definitely does help it.
Mhm.
Color is dark sepia. We never really talk about color because
Sure.
it's, yeah.
Looks like bourbon.
Nose, we've got toasted bread, maple, and cinnamon.
Okay.
Now, I did get a little bit of the bread. I kind of cheated because I was like, what the hell is that? I actually got more of the bread on the palate. than I did on the nose on just that first initial sip.
I can see that.
Palate, rich molasses, notes of fig and hazelnut.
Okay, so I was kind of
hazelnut. I can
dance around that with like chocolate, caramel.
Yeah,
The
close to it,
hazelnut.
nuts.
Yep. And then nuanced flavor fades into lingering warmth. Again, these are both Heaven Hill products, so it was the same people writing this thing.
I mean, I do think that I can see why people like this batch more than most of the other ones before.
I agree.
And I actually think, ironically, because it tastes more like a little bit like
It's a little closer to an Elijah Craig.
Yeah. A little bit spicier, hits you faster. But that B523 of the Elijah Craig, man, that stuck around for a long time. I'm not sure I like the initial taste of this one better. I like the finish of that one better.
I smell a mix.
I think overall, I like the Craig better. Just in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that where you're at too, John?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
It's got more of the traditional notes where it's like, again, there's nothing wrong with Larceny. I'm a proponent of it. I think people should check it out and try it. But on initial taste, it's the Elijah Craig. Again, these are fresh cracks. We'll see what happens after these open up. See how it changes. Maybe it mellows out a little bit. Maybe the ethanol in the nose of the Larceny kind of cools off, and we can actually pick up a little bit more, which will then in turn, change the palate. But yeah, I would say initial thoughts are probably with the Elijah Craig. I favor that one, and they're almost identical in proof.
Anything else we need to know about the Larceny?
It's $60 instead of $70.
Okay.
It's a little bit cheaper from an MSRP perspective, but still.
I find
solid.
it's also easier to find.
I agree.
I think that now in a month or two, usually after the batch releases, you can probably find them both on shelves, maybe both for a 10 to 20% price increase.
Yep.
But there's more of these around than there are of those.
I agree.
Let's give it a rating. What do you think? Okay. So I'll start with, let's do the Elijah Craig. I'll do them both. For the Elijah Craig, I think that I'm going to go with this is really tough for me because I think that generally I like Elijah Craig's better, but I think I'm flip-flopping on this one. I'm going Dagobah Luke for the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Stormtrooper Luke for the Larceny.
There you go.
I think that this is slightly more my bag. I do think though that if I'm having one drink, I think I'm thinking Larceny. But if I'm going to be having a few over the course of the night, I want to maybe stretch out the experience. I think Elijah Craig might be your bag because it does stick around longer, so you can have it for longer.
Yep.
But those two scores are good.
They're both solid.
Both good.
Yes.
I've never had any of these barrel proof batches that have been
terrible,
like bad.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to flip, actually. So I'll say the Elijah Craig is Stormtrooper Luke for the reason that it does stick around a bit longer. I like the spice. Like I said before, I'm a rye guy, so that's something that I'm definitely going to be drawn to. And then on the Larceny, Dagobah Luke, I didn't like it as much. Still delicious. Still a great bourbon. But not something that if I have to pick one of these two things, I'm definitely picking the Elijah.
I'm with you. I will echo the Stormtrooper Luke for the Elijah Craig. I just took my last sip of each, and yeah, it's starting to come out a little bit more where you get some of those traditional bourbon notes. So I'm saying that, and then flipping it again, the Larceny. Actually, I'm gonna go Empire Luke, and that a 6.5, a split between Hoth and Dagobah Luke. Again, I want to come back to this one just to see what it is, but just with what I just tried both of them back to back, like just before talking about this, and yeah, I mean it's good.
I also think it might be fun to do, and maybe other people can do this and tell us what they've found. That I wonder what this compares to other Larceny batches they've released, because people do say this is one of the best ones, and I wonder if you do a side by side with even the one from earlier this year, the A123, how big of a difference that is as compared to similar mash bill, but also like it's. I think most people think that the barrel proofs of Elijah Craig are superior.
For the Larceny specifically, the C922, which was also that was a very good release, and that was good. I have a few of those just because that was fantastic.
Yeah.
So and
That's what we
Oh,
call
I-
that was what we call a humble brag.
yeah,
Just so
humble
you know.
brag.
Yeah.
Humble brag.
I got a few of them sitting around my house because they were so good.
They were so good. I
Yeah.
stocked up.
Congratulations.
Because I stocked up on them, but people were putting this one in the same breath.
Yeah.
So it'll be so that's why I want to come back to that just after it opened up, just
I
to see
smell
how
a
it goes.
future nerd takes. I think.
I think so,
coming up
too.
Sometime soon.
I think so too.
So, okay. Any last thoughts?
If you can find either of these, go out and find them and try them. Go to a bar, try them. You're never going to get disappointed.
Totally true.
Ditto that.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thanks
having
for
me.
coming.
Appreciate it. Thanks for doing all the prep
Appreciate
work, Lambert.
Hey, anytime.
And I thank me for enjoying these good bourbons. Thank you.
Thank you for enjoying them.
Yes. All right. Well, until next time, nerd takes.